You think about moving to Lewisville, Texas? Here's exactly what you need to know before packing your bags, and trust me, you're gonna wanna hear this. My name is Daniel. I'm a realtor and a loan officer. And if you're thinking of moving in a few weeks, a few months, or a year down the line, feel free to call, text, email, whatever you prefer. I'm happy to help you move to Dallas, Texas. So you might be looking at different suburbs in Dallas, Texas, and you decided to come upon Lewisville, Texas. And Lewisville, Texas is a great city, but I want to share with you the pros and cons of Lewisville, Texas, so you know more about it. So let's get right to it. So let's start with the first pro. And the very first pro about Lewisville is that its location is great. You have a prime location in Lewisville, Texas. It's right next to I-35 as well as the toll 121. So you have a direct access to a lot of places such as DFW Airport, downtown Dallas, a lot of other cities you want to go to. You have direct access because you have I-35 as well as toll 121. Not only do you have direct access because of those freeways and tolls, but you also have a lot of places near Lewisville. Of course, inside Lewisville, you have some things, but also near Lewisville, such as you got the Grapevine outlet, and that's where a lot of people will go do some shopping and some eating. You got a lot of things to do in the area. So Lewisville provides you a great location. If you're a huge person of location, you're like, man, location is so important for me, then Lewisville is a great city for you. The second pro of Lewisville is its affordable housing. You can find a house in the $400,000 price point in Lewisville. Some people, they don't want to spend $600,000 or $700,000 on a property because they're afraid that the market is going to drop, and if so, then their house is going to depreciate. They're going to lose a lot of money. So they would rather take the risk of not investing too much in a property, and let's say, for example, going like a $400,000 instead of a $700,000 property, because if the market does dip, then you don't lose as much. But on the other hand, the downside of that is if it actually does go up, then you don't get as much appreciation in that value that you would in a $700,000 property. So that's kind of like, give and take. But let's just say you don't want to spend $600,000 or $700,000 on a property, then Lewisville is great because you can buy a house for about $400,000 property as we speak today. So if even for a loan, to get a loan, there's a lot of criteria and your income, your debts, a lot of other things. And you're like, you know what? I just want to be in the $400,000 or $500,000 price point, then Lewisville might be a great city for you. I'm a loan officer, so I always advise my clients, don't put yourself in a financial situation if you can't afford it, because you're going to be always thinking about it. You're going to be stressing about it. It's going to cause a lot of family issues because of money, right? So I always advise my clients and say, if you don't have to purchase an expensive property as much as like 700 or 800,000, then let's try to stick to where you are financially comfortable. And so if that is 400,000, then Lewisville is a great city for you. The third pro of living in Lewisville is its outdoor lifestyle. Lewisville provides a lot of things outdoorsy. For example, you have Lewisville Lake. Now, if you are from, let's say, California and you love the beaches and you want to go to the beach, but of course, here in Dallas, unfortunately, we just don't have beaches. I wish we did because my wife loves beaches. She loves the water, but we just don't have it. But we do have what we call lakes, and we have Lewisville Lake inside of Lewisville. That's why, hence, Lewisville Lake, right? And so because of this lake, a lot of people can get some breather, get some, fresh air, look at some nice water, some blue colored water. And so that's kind of good for a lot of people who like the outdoor lifestyle. And on top of that, you have Lewisville Lake Environmental Learning Area. What this is basically a bunch of camping spots, hiking trails. So like I said, you love being outdoors, you love going outside, you love the nice air and just water. You can go to these places that Lewisville does provide you. So if you are someone who doesn't want to stay indoors, but you rather say, I want to go outdoors, you want to take your family outdoors, then Lewisville is definitely a great city. So now we've talked about the pros, let's talk about the cons of Lewisville. And the very first con has to do with older homes and older neighborhoods. Now, these houses can be like 30, 40 years old and a $400,000 price point. Let's say you're looking for that price point. You find a house in the 1980s or the 1990s, very possible then your house is going to be about like 30, 40 years old, right? People in California, people in New York, other major cities are going to be like, that's not old. You're right, it's not old in comparison to those homes wherever you're from. But in comparison to cities, other suburbs in Dallas, it is a bit old. 30, 40 years does get kind of old there, because some of these homes, like let's say in Frisco, McKinney, Allen, Prosper, are like 10 years old, 20 years old, and there's a lot of new construction here in Dallas as well. So I'm sure if you're moving to Dallas, you heard about these newer homes, and Lewisville doesn't provide that. Of course, if you do pay or increase your budget, then of course you can find a newer home in Lewisville, but it just doesn't provide that. So these houses are a bit older. Not just the houses, but the neighborhoods as well are a bit older. So as you drive in Lewisville, you're going to be like, yeah, I can kind of sense that these houses are older, these neighborhoods are older. And so some people just prefer newer homes, some people prefer newer neighborhoods, and that's kind of the differences of some people. But on the other hand, some people love older homes, that is older homes, because they have that feel of like Texas. Oh, I like this Dallas feel, and therefore they would rather have older homes. So it really depends on your preference, but there is that con of houses being older, which means more maintenance, which means more repairs, upgrades that you're gonna have to do more money into the homes. The second con of Lewisville, Texas is that there is a lot of traffic. Now, the pro was that its location is prime. It's right next to I-35 as well as the toll 121. But when it comes with traffic, I-35 has a lot of traffic. But not just I-35, 75 freeway also has a lot of traffic as well. That one goes down from McKinney straight down to Plano to downtown Dallas area. And so because of all this traffic on I-35 in Lewisville, there's people who think, you know what, it's just too noisy for me. So that's kind of the downside, but not just on the freeway, but inside like the local streets as well in Lewisville. As you're driving, you're gonna feel a lot of traffic. There's a lot of potholes in Lewisville, the streets, just because they are a bit older roads, so just be mindful of that. But here in Lewisville, there's going to be a lot of traffic. So if you're not okay with a lot of traffic, then you want to go to a different suburb, that's fine. But there are a lot of other cities that have traffic as well. For example, in Frisco, you have Crescent Road that has a lot of traffic, but it just really just depends on each city. But that's kind of Lewisville having some bit of traffic. And the third con of living in Lewisville is that there is limited job markets. Not in all industries, not in all fields, but in certain industries, especially like tech, finance, healthcare, because a lot of these companies that move from out of state, they're not going to really relocate their companies or headquarters to Lewisville, because Lewisville is a bit older. That's where you have like historic downtown Lewisville, well known because it's old. And so you're not going to have these major companies moving into Lewisville. Yes, there are companies that move into Lewisville, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, a lot of these cities will go to, or a lot of these companies will go to other cities such as like Plano or downtown Dallas. So that's kind of a con, because let's say, for example, you work in the tech industry and you don't work in Lewisville and you got to like commute pretty far, then you're going to have to consider that pro of location, because Lewisville is known for its prime location. But if you have to commute for so long, then location isn't a pro for you. So that's kind of the downside. So that's where you have limited job markets in Lewisville. But again, if your company or where you work is located in Lewisville, then of course you have no problem, because that's just perfect for you. So what are my thoughts about Lewisville? I think Lewisville is a great city to live in. It really depends on what you prioritize in life. If you prioritize location, then Lewisville is a great city. If you prioritize the age of the house, then Lewisville is not a great city for you. If your company or your job is in Lewisville or near Lewisville, then that's a great location, great city for you to live in. But if it's far, you have a long drive, you commute far, then of course I don't recommend Lewisville. So it just really depends on your situation, your budget, where you're at. So I think you just got to take those factors into consideration. So there you have the pros and cons of living in Lewisville. If you're thinking of moving in a few weeks, a few months, or you're down life, feel free to call, text, email, whatever you prefer. I'm happy to help you move to Dallas, Texas. And if you like this video, make sure you click that like button. If you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.